Prepare yourselves
Welcome aboard.
for the ultimate Disneyland thrill attraction from the imagination of Disney and George Lucas. Because now, the adventure is real.
Welcome back to Live Action Star Wars. My name is James.
I'm Ralph.
And today we are going to talk about Behind the Attraction Star Tours.
Star Tours.
The
Greatest
episode
thing to happen in dark times.
Yeah, really. I mean, the biggest thing to happen probably in the dark times.
Right.
I mean, we had books, we had comics, we had video games, but the star attraction was Star Tours. Opened originally in 1987. Same time as me. It debuted right around the time that I debuted into the world.
I love Star Tours so much. It's so awesome. It's my second favorite Star Wars attraction.
Ooh, interesting. So we've got a lot more in the last couple of years. What has overtaken it? Okay, so you don't count like the building a lightsaber or the cantina?
No, I'm talking about rides.
Rides. Talking rides. Yeah. Okay, cool. So what's overtaken Star Tours?
Rise of the Resistance is phenomenal.
Yeah, I've heard.
And a lot of the show was centered around that other stuff. And I'm like,
it really was a show of two halves, wasn't it? Like they called it like Behind the Attraction Star Tours, but
right.
It's a show of two halves. The episode, it's the first half of it is all about Star Tours, the history of the update, and then the second half is like, but because of Star Tours and because we own Lucasfilm and Star Wars now, we said let's expand so much more, and so it goes into Batuu and Galaxy's Edge and all of that stuff.
This show made me fall in love with George Lucas all over again.
He's amazing. Like he comes off
so
great
awesome.
In this, and it's really cool to see them sort of giving George all the props in this because they don't need to now. They own it. It's theirs. They can do whatever they want. They can acknowledge him as much as they want. Or as little as they want, but they give him full credit for some of the really good design choices that were made at Star Tours. But the show, I only watched this episode. I wanted to watch more, and I think I'm going to watch the rest of it because it's interesting. But it's light. It's not. This isn't a hard, cutting edge documentary. It's not even as heavy as the Imagineering story that Disney Plus had. Like that, I feel like was more of a serious documentary. This is very fun and tongue in cheek, and
This, I believe, was made by the folks who made The Toys That Made Us and The Movies That Made Us on Netflix.
I could see that.
Which shows because it's like super fast paced. There's jokes. There's like jokes in.
Yeah, the narration is comical. Definitely. I had to pause it like a few seconds in and check who the narrator was. Because I was convinced that it was Janet Varney, who is the voice of Korra in Legend of Korra. But it isn't. I've not done my research of pulling up Behind the Attractions narrator, but I will do that just now.
It was Paget Brewster, I believe.
That sounds right. Yeah. Because I don't know who that is. I don't know if she's done anything else, but she did well for this. This was good. I enjoyed it.
It was really fun.
It was really good. So props to her for doing that and for the scripting and everything, all those guys. I don't have much in the way of behind the scenes stuff. I've been really busy this week, so I haven't done. I
haven't done any research on.
Neither of us have.
I literally right before this just got off a call for a podcast with my friend Alex Stewart from The Backside of Water, and that's his whole thing is
awesome.
Is covering attraction history and stuff. I should have just had him jump over here, but it's okay.
That's okay. I mean, hopefully at some point we'll be able to do more live attraction stuff. And
I think we'll pop in since we're doing this. We'll probably pop in Rise of the Resistance and Smuggler's Run into the mix, even though there's no real live action in Smuggler's Run.
I'm coming in completely blind because I've not been to a Disneyland since 2005, and that was only Paris, which it's all right. It's fine. It's better than no Disneyland. it's nothing compared.
I put a post out on on Casino Skunk at Casino Skunk, which is actually right there now. Saying that I really want to monetize this podcast. Like I want to let people know that we want you to share this. We need subscribers. As soon as we get to 1,000 subscribers, we can monetize this. And I don't know how much money we'll make, but it'll definitely go towards getting you to celebrations.
That's the plan.
Getting me to celebrations that are in your neck of the woods.
Yes.
Comic-Con, Galaxy's Edge.
Because you know that things like that are coming. Like the world has been so stripped of anything for the last couple of years that they're gonna be. Of course, we've got Celebration coming up in Anaheim next year, which is literally in your backyard. Right. And then we've got. I think it wouldn't surprise me if they come back over this way sometime soon because all the shows are shot over here. They're gonna be able to get casts for all of those over here when they're doing that sort of stuff.
So I'm hoping if you have any affinity for the show, which I'm assuming you've made it this far.
We're not asking you for money, just share it.
Just share it. I don't want money from you.
No.
I just want subscriptions.
Yes.
And once we get enough subscriptions, then YouTube can start giving us the money.
Yeah. We're not greedy.
No, we literally did. We only wanted to make money so that we can put more into the show. And 100%. So like if I'm going to Celebration, it would be awesome if James was here. And
we want to do this podcast live. We want to do this for more people. And also on a slightly selfish level, I want to be on Movie Trivia Schmodown because I think I could take some of those guys. And the more eyes on this show, the more chance that I can get onto that show. So just throwing that out there.
So speaking of Disneyland and money.
Yes.
They wanted to create a new attraction, and their movie Black Hole wasn't cutting the mustard.
So was that the original plan? It made it seem like the original plan was to have a ride based on Black Hole.
I have no idea. No idea. They just wanted a science fiction
something for Tomorrowland.
Yeah, and Black Hole didn't make any money.
Yeah. I thought it was quite nice that they were really candid about how Tomorrowland weirdly was outdated all the time and really quick.
All the time.
Yeah, like it's all constantly like it's future technology, but it was never too far ahead. So it was everything. It was like they do future tech, and then the world would catch up to it, and then it's just like it's Todayland.
Okay, let's
go to the car park, shall we?
Yeah, let's live in a world where everybody has a telephone in their pocket, and then 5 years later, like, that was a good idea. We did it. Here it is. And cool. So that's not futuristic anymore.
I mean, even when the last time I was in a Disneyland, I had a phone in my pocket, but I now carry around basically what would have at the time been considered a supercomputer. Right. Like we all do. Everyone does. And it's just like I think that time I had my phone and I had a camera, and it's like that was cool.
There's some sort of stat that says like the PS2. You remember the PS2?
Very well. Got it day one.
Was more technologically advanced than anything they had for the moon landing.
Yeah, definitely. And this is more technologically advanced than the PS2.
And this technology is adorable.
I mean, that was just cute as all hell. Mine, you can see mine in the background next to my wedge helmet.
So this is something I learned because now I have the new computer and the news. So here's my mic.
Tell. Yep.
I don't know what this is going to sound like on your end, but I love that he snaps right on there.
Okay. Oh, I haven't even tried that. Oh, I might have to grab mine.
Hopefully I didn't lose you.
No, not at all. Okay, it sounded fine. And the fact that we both have the same mic and the same BB-8 on there, I mean, mine would sit right here, and he could just be sat on top the whole time. Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, can you make it happen?
I can make it happen if the audience don't mind.
All right, everybody. He can't hear me now, so that means he's making it happen. Oh my god.
I always feel wrong. I always feel like I'm beheading him when I take.
Hold on, I'm gonna move our things out of the way. There we go. Oh my god, I love it. Oh, don't break his little. I love it.
Raise no hip. I mean, that lives there now.
Okay, cool.
That, I mean, As long as that sounds okay, and as long as that ball doesn't look bad up there. I mean,
No,
it's too far out of the way. He looks better here, though. I love that. I love it.
Does he get blocked by the name? A little bit, but we can take him off for now. So one of the things they talked about was like, they mentioned the black hole, but there's always also a poster for ice pirates.
Yeah.
Did you notice the poster for why in the world? So they just decided, someone who's making the show was like, I like ice pirates, I'm just going to put it in there.
It's just anytime they can like promote ice pirates, it's the one guy like trumpeting for ice pirates.
It's like, maybe if I get enough people talking about ice pirates, we can do a Movies That Made Us about ice pirates. And
that's exactly what it is. Definitely.
No, space herpes. Do a deep dive on space herpes. Okay, so they talk about Star Wars. Like Star Wars is this thing that could have been a Disney movie. Come on, listen. Don't say that Star Wars could have been made by Disney. Like, you made Black Hole, and it was very different.
Yeah, you tried. You failed.
This made me fall in love with George Lucas, and only he can make Star Wars. And I believe that with all my heart. But when they talked about Star Wars, they did the thing that I love. Anytime someone talks about the Star Wars phenomenon in the 70s, is cut to the clip of the making of Star Wars with C-3PO and R2-D2, where it's the guy putting the poster up, the shot of the two girls running to the Chinese theater to see them put their footprints, R2-D2, C-3PO, and Darth Vader's footprints in the thing, and then the people dancing with their Star Wars shirts on to disco, to all that stuff.
Which is such a promo shot, because no one was actually wearing those shirts to the discos, I don't think.
No.
I wasn't there. I can't really say that.
Yeah, I got
You got your VHS?
Star Wars.
Nice.
Yeah. But it cracks me up that they always use the same footage of those things. The girls running, the guy putting the Star Wars poster up, the crowd in front of the Chinese theater, and then
always
the dancers.
Always.
100% always.
It's as if the Chinese theater didn't exist before Star Wars.
Right.
But it's been there forever.
So they decide to make Star Tours through happenstance. They find out about these simulators. Oh, thank God.
Yeah, so I've got a question about that. Simulators were just something that always existed for me in my lifetime. Right. We had the little boxy ones. You'd always get them at like a fairground or something, and you'd queue up, you'd get in, and it would be like a single thing, and you'd be able to watch it from the outside doing all of its motion. You'd go in, and it would be like you're on a roller coaster, or you're on this, or you're on that. Oh, you're in a plane doing some dives, whatever it was. Was Star Tours the first, or did they exist already?
So here's the thing. I just, while you were talking, I was still listening. This is the very first page of Green Lantern.
Oh,
and
wow.
In it, he is in a simulator that gets pulled out of its moorings and taken to the alien Abin. Yeah. So flight simulators seem to have been around for a while.
I mean, this is something that I should have asked my stepdad, really, because he was a pilot for a long time, so he's probably going to know the history of like flight simulators at least. But I mean, it seemed like, and I mean, we've all seen The Right Stuff and things like that, where they had simulators of like the space capsules and stuff like that. So the idea of simulating and learning in flights and stuff seems like it's been around forever. But simulators as an attraction, I didn't realize, and this documentary really makes it seem like Star Tours was the innovator of that. It was the first.
I feel like it.
And it wouldn't surprise me. And if everyone basically after 87 just went, there's a moneymaker, we can do that on the cheap, and not as good, but we can still make money off it.
And I love the foresight of George Lucas. This is what made me fall in love with him, saying that we can change it. Yeah. It can evolve. It could be something different in the future.
He said it then. He said it in 87. Like he was ready. He was like, well, cool. Let's do Jedi now because it's still relatively fresh in people's minds, but we can do it for whatever, basically.
He's a genius. Like he just like...
He saw it what? 25 years before it actually happened?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And he just knew. And the technology behind it, the fact that it was on film, blew my mind.
Yeah.
like it's projected on a film.
On what, 35 or
right, which makes sense. But it just never occurred to me that it had to be on a physical projector.
Yeah. But then also like the loop cabinet, they talk about the loop cabinet a lot, where it's like this was something that another thing that Disneyland innovated for. It wasn't the Hall of Presidents, was it? It was something else in Tomorrowland, I think. One of the other attractions in Tomorrowland.
It was for Circle Vision.
Okay, Circle Vision. Where it's constantly playing. Like there's no breaks. You don't need a projectionist in there changing tape over. You don't have like the cigarette burn Fight Club. We've all seen Fight Club.
Yeah,
we all know how projectionists work because of Fight Club. If you didn't already, right. So you don't need to do any of that because it's always moving.
But them like having the knowledge of all of this technology that's been around in the past to be able to streamline these things, to be able to make it work, it's insane to have Imagineers and ILM working together to make this one continuous shot be like, okay, well, the hydraulics need to lift back up. Yes. So we need something here. And that level of communication had to have been done like over the phone. You think it
must have done because like Dennis Muren was like I didn't realize that Dennis Muren was essentially the credited director of the film for Star Tours,
right?
Which is amazing because
it's
like
all model work, it's all ILM.
It makes sense, and it's all his wheelhouse. Like Dennis Muren, I mean, if you're watching this channel, you probably know who Dennis Muren is and what he contributed. But
right.
It just never ceases to stop. It's like when you discover new things about Ben Burtt. It's like these guys are just as integral, and that's the thing that I think sets Lucasfilm apart than other studios.
I love Lucasfilm because it's like a place with storytellers, technicians, but also technicians who are storytellers. Like
they all are.
John Knoll.
Yeah. All the way through like Rogue One and everything. Like it's and he's been there, like it's John Knoll. So like again, hardcore Star Wars fans like all of us, we know who John Knoll is, and we're like, oh cool, it's John Knoll. He's doing this. And when we hear that he's got a story idea, we already are like, cool, trust him.
Yeah.
Because he's in-house and it's what they've managed to do and continue to do. And I feel like Filoni is kind of the head of that side of things. Him and Doug Chiang are now. Doug Chiang is amazing, and he has moments to shine in this.
They're popping that Naboo Starfighter art right now.
It's amazing. I saw just as a side with that Naboo Starfighter, I saw a picture of someone with the cruiser from episode 1 and the toy of it, and I know that I bought one of those, and I know that it's probably in quite good nick because I wouldn't have played with it. I was too old to play with it, but I found it cheap one day, so I bought one like right around that time. I just need to find it.
Oh, is that the account? Star Wars thrift store Star Wars.
It might have been. It might have been through you that I saw it.
I love her account. It's so good. And
mine was in better condition. I know that mine's in better condition than that because that one was missing a panel.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I'm gonna dig it out.
God, I love episode 1, and I love Naboo Starfighters. There's a sequence in the Star Tours: The Legend Continues where you go on a droid, the droid control ship run with the Naboo fighters, and they're flying in front of you, and you have the 3D glasses on, and they're like right there. Spoilers for this part, but at the end of that ride, you go down to Naboo and you start skidding across the water into the princess's hangar.
Oh, okay.
With all there is that too. You do go through there, but into the hangar with all the Naboo starfighters, and you're hitting the brakes just in time for the tail of a Naboo starfighter to crash through the window and point like right in your face.
Amazing.
And there's a pit droid on it, and it's like starts yelling at you, and then it falls off, into the cockpit and stuff. But it's so good. It's a good.
Okay, that brings us to my next bit of questioning. When was the first time that you went on Star Tours?
No idea. It had to have been. It had to have been. So 87. This came out.
Yeah.
I was 10.
Disneyland in 87. Yeah.
I was 10. So I know I went on it pretty early on, and I remember just being in awe of it all. Like, to see C-3PO in person.
He's right there.
He's right there, and I just couldn't stop. I didn't want to leave the line.
Yeah.
It was probably the only line. And then I remember as I'm walking through, like, look, because you're focused on C-3PO and R2-D2, and there's a gigantic full-size Star Wars ship. And I'd already fallen in love with the Star Speeder 3000.
I want to say 3000.
I might have been Star Speeder 1000 or 2000 before the legend. I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
Star Speeder 3000.
Star Speeder 3000.
Yeah. So I had the poster. My mom got me a poster in the mail that had the Star Tours ride poster with C-3PO and R2-D2 and Rex, and then the Star Speeder 3000. And I would sit there and I would draw pictures of the Star Speeder 3000. I thought it was an awesome ship. It's literally like a box, but it's still so Star Wars looking, and it's so perfect. It's still one of my favorite Star Wars designs. The way they're stacked, the rows are stacked with the lasers right underneath. I fell in love with that ship, and then walking in and seeing it, utterly amazed. And as you bend around, there's the giant wall screen that's giving you flight information on the different tours you can go on. And I'm like, oh, I want to go to that one. I want to go to that one.
Well, which now makes me think, was that the original plan?
I think so. Because, with George saying
exactly. That's what I thought, because I remember going on as a kid. First time I went to Disney World in 1990. So I was like 3 years old. I went to Disney World in 90 and 91. I would have definitely gone on them both times then, and went to Disneyland for the first time in 93. I was there for my 6th birthday. It was amazing. I had my 6th birthday in Disneyland. It was the best. Definitely went on all of them every time. But yeah, going to Disney World was the first one because you had the AT-AT there. You're going in.
I still haven't been.
Have you not? That's the last time I went was 91. So I think it's probably changed a little bit.
Probably.
One or two things. But it was amazing. The ride itself is the same essentially. But yeah, I remember seeing the posters every time and going, wow, look at all the other ones. And then sort of being sort of disappointed when I would talk to my brother, who's like 9 years older than me, and just be like, oh, so do they do other ones? And he's like, no, that's just that one. And he's like, right. Okay. Like, way to kill it for me, bro.
I remember when I was a kid in line and you're staring at the board and you can't get your eyes off of R2-D2 and C-3PO. My eyes started to wander.
Yeah. And
then I yelled so loud to my mom and my dad, hitting him on the leg, Admiral Akbar.
Yes.
Because they had the control room up there. And
he's up there doing.
You can see the Mon Calamari.
Yeah.
And like just the most joy.
Yeah,
you could have. Like,
it's just you're in it.
Because the poster, you see Rex, you see 3PO, and you see R2. Yes, I said you see 3PO, but they don't show you the Mon Cal. They don't show you that stuff, and so it was like, oh my god. And there's like R5D4s and R3 units in there and stuff.
Yeah,
and it still brings me joy walking into that line and coming around the corner and seeing the room and then hearing this sort of the PA sound before an announcement, the do 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 do, like, I love it every time. It brings me chills. So let me say this. I didn't put it on our list yet because I know you'll get the notification on your phone. There is something in here that belongs on the list that I didn't know about, and I want to do a deep dive on. Okay. And I'm hoping it's available online. I'm assuming it's available somewhere. And that's what they refer to as the Darth Vader ballet. The opening ceremonies of this attraction.
Ceremonies. So would we do what all the opening ceremonies as an episode or something?
Just this
the Darth Vader ballet.
I want to.
We've seen a couple of clips in this episode.
Right.
So if you did the homework and watched along with us, then you've seen a couple of clips. And yeah, I had no idea that this was a thing.
Yeah, and that's got to go on our list. I feel
absolutely
it's so Disney to do a song and dance number for an opening.
Yeah,
and I don't think it translates to Star Wars.
Really, but this was the first licensed property. This was the first thing that wasn't an in-house Disney production, wasn't it?
Right. And so instead of, I mean, I get it if you have like the Seven Dwarves dancing around, or
you can do a song from the film that it's based on, or anything like that.
But Han Solo doing a ballet with Princess Leia doesn't go with the characters.
I don't know. Like, I think it's later on. We just see a still, and it's from the opening, and like George is there, but Mark Hamill's there as well, and they're in their 80s suits. They look like they've come straight from Studio 54, and it's just a case of like, what did they think about this?
I don't know.
What? Because part of me thinks that George loved the ballet, but part of me thinks he hated it and Mark loved it.
Mark probably thought it was ridiculous.
I think at the time he was probably thinking, what is this? Why am I here? Why am I the only one that will say yes to these things? Why did Carrie not say yes?
I loved it. So we're going to I'm going to put that on the list, and we'll hit that eventually.
I'm looking forward to it.
For sure.
So last time I went on Star Tours was in 2005, as I said earlier on, in Paris. Before that would have been 2000, maybe 2001 in Anaheim. So I've never been on the Adventure Continues.
Yes.
I knew that there was different options. I knew that there was like 4 or 5 or whatever it was that it opened with, but I didn't realize, and this documentary shows, that you can get it's 3 acts essentially. You get a beginning, a middle, and an end, and they can chop and change, and they are interchangeable. I didn't know any of that. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, and they didn't mention it in this at all. Is they made new ones with the prequel or with the sequel trilogy.
They mentioned at the very end how it's updatable, but they didn't go into the sequel trilogy. But they said and as new things come out, we add new things. They glossed over it a little bit, but yeah.
There's stuff from Force Awakens,
mm-hmm.
Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker. There isn't Rogue One there isn't Rogue One or Solo.
Okay, so they've not done the stories. They've stuck to the Skywalker saga. That makes sense. They in the documentary we see the 3 things that as it was coming out, as the prequels were coming out, they were like, well, George showed us the pod race, and so we were like, that's great, but we may as well wait. And then it was episode 2, it was the speeder chase through Coruscant, but we may as well wait. Episode 3, it was the Battle of Coruscant above, in the atmosphere. But then they were like, cool, now we've got 3, let's do all 3. So what scenes did they go for the sequel trilogy?
Okay, so I know there's one in Jakku where you're flying with the Falcon, and what's great is now instead of having oh my gosh, I can't think of his name.
Unkar Plutt?
Growly. No, I'm trying to think. In the original Star Tours, one of the model makers was in the side screen. He played the X-Wing pilot. He was a model maker, Steve Growly, possibly.
Okay, I'm going to trust you. I've got the Wikipedia up here, but I don't have that.
So he's one of the model makers. They put him on the communication screen on the right. It's like Star Tours. What are you doing here? And he says that, and you go in, and he's the one that talks to you. He's just a model maker. So by the time they get to the sequel trilogy, you're flying on Jakku through the wreckage of the Star Destroyer. There's a point where you crash in the Star Destroyer, and scavengers come and start picking stuff off of your ship.
Oh, awesome.
And there's a one dude, spoiling this joke, where he pulls off the emblem off the front of the Star Tours logo.
Awesome.
It's literally Star Tours logo.
Yeah, the triangle. Yeah.
And he's holding it up. He's like, yeah. And then you get up and you take off. While that's happening, your communication is with Finn, and it's John Boyega. And he's talking to you in the side screen. And you get, I know there's one with Poe Dameron. General Hux, I believe, shows up in that side thing. It's amazing. So you get Jakku. I'm trying to think if you get anything else for episode 7. And I can't think of.
The only other thing that I could think it might be would be like the attack on
Starkiller,
the attack on Starkiller, or the attacker Takodana. They're the only other sort of spaceshipy things. But like Takodana is such a quick scene. It's my favorite like, dogfight. I think it's my favorite dogfight in the sequels. But yeah, there's not much more there.
The Last Jedi has the Battle of Crate.
Yeah, makes sense.
Which is a lot of fun.
I was going to say it's quite a lot more grounded.
You skip around on the ground with the salt skimmers.
Skimmers, yeah.
They dump a bunch of, like you're heading right into the leg of the. God dang! They changed all the names. I used to know Star Wars really well, but the AT Gorilla Walkers.
Yep, the RT.
There's too many.
Yeah,
I used to know I almost said it. I used to know AT-AT and ATST, and that was good enough. And now they started adding more of these things. You're going to crash it, like you're going between all of their legs, like you're going across the whole row of them, and you get this laser blast that just douses your windshield with salt.
That's and the cut.
You can kind of see you're going in between the legs, but you're like, we're definitely going to hit something. And R2 does like the windshield wipers. I'm trying to think. I think that might be the only thing from the Last Jedi. But the Rise of Skywalker is my favorite additions. So, and I think I mentioned this before. You go on the broken up Death Star.
Cool. Oh, wow, okay.
So you enter the atmosphere and you're going along the waves. And you're like, it feels like you're riding these waves. You're going up and down and skimming. And you make your way into the Death Star where you start dipping halfway below the water, like in Jaws.
Cool. Yeah.
And you're dipping in and you're dipping and you're just laying there. And all of a sudden you see a Dianoga eye pop up in front of you. And then 2 more. And they grab your ship.
Oh,
so you get to see a full 3 Dianogas in the destroyed Death Star thing. And so I'm like, oh, this is awesome. You make your escape. You make your escape and you go to Exegol.
Okay.
The space battle in Exegol. And I gotta tell you, this made me tear up a little bit. No shit. So
I mean, which makes sense because that's the scene that, if anything, could be canon because there are Starship 3000s in that battle in the movie.
Yeah. So we all know 3PO is the new pilot, and there's a point where don't get choked up, dude. Jesus, it's so stupid.
Can't promise.
It's so stupid because this is the kid in me. Because I'm really getting glassy out here. So you've ridden this ride before. Everybody's ridden this ride before. C-3PO is the pilot, and you fly to Exegol, and you get Poe on screen, and they're like, "This is it."
Cockpit? Is he in? Like he's doing his okay.
Yeah. So it's like a video chat like this.
Yeah.
But he says we have to hit this Star Destroyer. And as you head towards the start, like 3PO's like Star Tours standing by, and like you're like, oh my god, we're doing this. And 3PO says something to the effect of, if we don't come out of this, you've been my favorite crew. And that's it. And it's like, oh my god. And I'm like gutted because I'm like, oh my god, C-3PO likes me. And
that's all I've ever wanted.
And I feel so stupid for getting so teared up about this.
This is Star Wars.
But I felt like at the time it came out was around the Rise of Skywalker, and we all knew that was Anthony Daniels' last thing. So this was probably one of the last things he recorded, and it just like broke my heart. I'm like, oh my god, we're doing this. Let's do this, 3PO. We're going in, and you go into this sort of thing.
To have that as the legacy, like at the end, essentially, like really, if it is probably because that's the sort of thing they're gonna shoot after the movie. He's not going to have done that before. Right. So if he did that after, it really does feel like
most likely during a looping session.
Exactly. Like it's going to be at the end. Oh, can you just drop in a couple of lines for Star Tours? And it's like
just hits you right here.
That being the thing that is the final piece, essentially, the final bit of his legacy is like, oh, I can see why it would get me. Like I know that when I eventually go to Galaxy's Edge, I'm going to weep. I am going to.
The thing is, when Rise of Skywalker came out, they had those two things. They had the Death Star, and they had Exegol. So you knew you were getting that.
I was going to say awesome. They just run like for a new movie. They just ran just those ones.
But now it's back in the loop.
Yeah.
So you don't know if you'll get that, and I don't know if it'll have the same impact because a lot of times you'll like go to Hoth. Oh, cool! Okay. The Battle of Hoth. That's great.
Great.
And then you'll go to the Battle of Naboo, and you're like, wait a second.
Oh, okay.
I'm not. This isn't canon. Like, I'm not a big canon. Like, I don't.
It doesn't need to be. Especially, I feel like that's the difference with Star Tours being in Tomorrowland and Galaxy's Edge. Like, if you're in Galaxy's Edge on Batuu, everything is like it's in universe. Whereas when you're in Tomorrowland and you're going on Star Tours, you're on a ride.
Right.
I feel like that's hard. the difference.
It's a little hard to deal with. They sort of mention this in the show, but they don't really elaborate on this. So they do take a picture of one of the people who are sitting in the thing.
Oh yeah, okay.
And they're a secret spy for the Resistance, Rebellion, whatever.
Does that change depending on the era that you're playing in?
I don't think so. They just say, we have a secret rebel that we need to protect. So we're going to go do this battle to deliver them where we need to deliver them. So we're just passengers. One of them happens to be a secret spy, and we need to make sure R2 says we need to make sure we do everything, essentially, to get this person to where we're going. In between Hoth and Naboo or Endor and Exegol, you get a transmission. You stop in deep space and everything gets quiet, and you read it. You receive a transmission. So the little hologram comes out, and it's like right in your face because it looks like it's being projected and hovering in the air. Talking about the spy, and we need to do the spy. And before the sequel trilogy came out, they had a Princess Leia hologram, which looked very much like the Rogue One Princess Leia CG. There was a Yoda one, and I think that's it.
Okay.
But when the sequels came out, when Episode 7 came out, they did a BB-8. Yep. So a little BB-8 rolls up, and C-3PO translates and stuff and tells us, oh, we need to get this spy here. But when The Rise of Skywalker came out, they got Billy D to do it.
Amazing.
And so it's Billy D. Hey, 3PO. And he's like, he's right in your face, Billy D telling you how important this mission is. And you're just like, get chills.
Yeah.
It's like a 5-minute ride, and you get so sucked into Star Wars that it just makes me so giddy. I just love it so much.
It's what Disney have always been able to do right, and it's why, despite all of the bad stuff with Disney, and there's plenty of it, like on every aspect of the company, there is stuff that isn't great.
Sorry, Scarlett Johansson.
I mean, amongst many other things, but that one being the most recent and most public, there's a lot, but they get what you just described, and the only real way of describing it is that it's cheesy to say, but that Disney magic, it exists and it is very real.
Hand it to the Imagineers.
There you go. Like, and I love that documentary series, the Imagineering story.
Yeah.
And they know it, they get it, and for the most part, as far as I'm aware, at least, like they're not the scumbags. So we can support the Imagineers. So and we like those guys.
Definitely.
They kick ass.
Yeah. Yeah, they're making the snake oil, but Disney's the salesman.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like
they're the ones making it, and it tastes great.
Yeah, it does. This ride is amazing, and even though continuity shit doesn't work. Oh, I also forgot. Where they say you can either get detained by Darth Vader or follow the Millennium Falcon. For the sequel trilogy, they added in that opening sequence Kylo Ren.
Okay.
Kylo Ren. Cool. So you could be detained by Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
But it's I mean, the continuity stuff kind of may bug you, but at the same time,
I can forgive with
to Kashyyyk.
Hell yeah.
You can't do it anywhere else.
I want to. I really want to. I've been eager to get back to a Disneyland since they updated this in 2012 or whatever it was. I've been so eager to get back, and then when I knew that Galaxy's Edge was coming, I was like, oh wait. And then after that, I was like, you know what? With the Galactic Hotel or the Galactic Star Cruiser thing coming, I was like, oh wait. And then I seen the price, and I was like, you know what? I'll just go. As soon as I can afford to go to Galaxy's Edge, I'll go, because there's no way that I'm going to spend the money to do that just yet. Maybe one day, because I'm sure it's going to be incredible. But subscribe. Please subscribe and
4,800
everyone
4,800 for 2 adults.
There you go.
I'll let Stevie down gently. Can you imagine? We wouldn't, if we were in the Galaxy's
especially
Edge,
when you live like 20 minutes away.
Oh no, it's not going to be here. It's going to be in Florida. I got to go to Florida.
Oh, okay.
But I'm saying if we stayed, I'm like, oh, I'm going to the Star Cruiser, Galactic Star Cruiser, but with James. I could just see us in our Star Wars blankets and just be like, what do you want to do tomorrow? Let's go build lightsabers. Just never. We just be sitting there just talking about Star Wars and a man and Ponda Baba and just all night.
Yeah, we'd be those kids. 100%. I want to do this. Please tell everyone that you know to subscribe.
Right.
Even if they never watch.
Right. And listen, one thing I tell people is we're not clogging up your YouTube. It's
once every 2 weeks at the moment.
And maybe once a week.
Yeah.
Maybe. So we're not clogging up feeds. We're not going to be obnoxious.
We're really not. And we don't do that on the socials either. Probably to our detriment. We don't clog up your socials. We'll post stuff every now and then when we've got something. But we don't go hard on either of them, because I think you and I both have that. We don't like seeing that from other people, because it's just like, okay, I know what you're doing, but cool. So neither of us really want to do that too much, but
we know there's too much Star Wars content out there.
Yeah.
And we're trying to do it at the pace that everyone can appreciate. A nice, easy, every other week pace. We're going to get to a weekly pace when you're excited for the weekly stuff that's coming out.
Up. Sure.
And then we'll be back.
We're just ticking over right now. We're just keeping you ticking over right now. It's keeping us going as well. So we've talked about Star Tours a lot. Yeah. Everyone loves Star Tours. The other half of this documentary is all about Galaxy's Edge and Batuu.
Right.
I've not been. You've been how many times? Several times.
I mean,
and you have been back as well since the reopening.
Right.
So in the last few months, you've been back.
Mm-hmm.
You did your mini episode when you got your lightsabers. You showed off your lightsabers that you went and got.
Right.
And it just made me so jealous. Every time I see stuff from there, it makes me so jealous. The great people over at Slash Film, Peter Soretta from there, he has his YouTube channel, Ordinary Adventures, which is amazing. Him and Kitcher go to loads of different theme parks, but Galaxy's Edge feels like it's almost home base for them. And And so I've seen so much of Batuu from videos from other people, but I've yet to experience it myself. The documentary talks about the amazing effort that they put into when you're there, you can't see anything else. And so talk to me about that. Tell me about Batuu.
I kind of want to be everybody's guide to Batuu.
You've already promised me that when I get to California, you will be.
Yeah, and there's a very specific way I like to travel through it. That is going through the Critter Country entrance, because there's a nice long walk through the transition between Critter Country and Batuu is the wooded area. And it's so great. It's so great because the other entrance is in Frontierland.
Okay.
Which is very dusty and dirty.
The location is what used to be Toontown, right?
No, Toontown's still there.
Okay.
This is they like
just extended.
Took out a bunch of back area stuff. But what's great is what they've done is they've taken the trees of Critter Country and the western rocks of Frontierland and created Batuu, which is a like an outpost built on a planet made of giant petrified trees.
So here we go. I can get into some lore stuff, because I read I read books. I actually listened to this one on Audible, which is somewhere that we might be able to get a sponsorship or some sort of affiliation down the line. We'll look into it. So the book, it was Black Spire Outpost is where you are on Batuu,
like the name of the town.
That's the town. It's Mos Eisley, essentially. It's the equivalent of Mos Eisley on Tatooine. The book, it might have just been called Black Spire. I'm not sure. I can't remember. It's by Claudia Gray, I believe. Pulling all of this out of my head, I've been reading a lot of books by Claudia Gray recently because she's one of the writers on the High Republic. It's really fun. I was expecting a very throwaway book that is literally just there to promote. And there is a lot of, you go to Doc Ondas, you go to the cantina. She talks about the entirety of that menu. The lead character, who I believe the lead character from the book is someone who exists as a character.
Is it Vi Maradi?
That's exactly who it is, Vi Maradi.
I have a Lego.
Amazing. She's great.
Yeah.
But there's also, because if it's not Claudia Gray, it's the same author who did the Phasma book. There is a character in this book, and the Black Spire book is kind of a sequel to the Phasma book.
Oh, okay.
So there is a character, a trooper commander who wears all red instead of like the chrome armor that she wears. He used to wear an all red. The name is escaping me now, but he basically defected, sort of got captured at the end of that, I believe, by the Resistance. And then in the beginning of this, he is a Resistance prisoner. He's a POW, but then he comes around and he ends up being part of the Resistance at the end, and he's part of the recruitment team. His name is escaping me, but they've got a budding friendship. And I'm curious if he exists at all on Batuu, but part of me doesn't want to know. I don't think he does. I think he was just something for the book, for the story. But even things like they knew where Rise of the Resistance was going to be in the park. They knew how they were going to have like the story of the queue and everything for that. And if I'm right, that's in like, there's like, you go to like a rebel base cave system, right? Or at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that is all set up in this novel, which came out way before Rise of the Resistance opened. But they set all of that up, and Vi Maradi has established this base. Like, that's where she hides out at first, and then she has this as basically as a recruitment place for the Resistance. So it fits in, and that novel like links together all the stuff. And yes, there's a lot of product placement. There's nothing with the Jedi and Doc Ondas being like hidden away. But there's a lot of product placement in the book, but it's done tactfully enough that you can just enjoy it. I just enjoyed it as a good book.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that's really cool, and it's just that bit of sort of corporate synergy. When it works really well.
There's nothing that'll prepare you for seeing the Millennium Falcon for the first time. I think I've mentioned that before. And going through the Frontierland entrance, you kind of pop in and then boom, you're kind of right there. So the way you go through the Critter Country entrance, you go through there, take a lower path, go around. Like, I know the way to go to keep it hidden for like that maximum impact, because you already have seen an A-wing, an X-wing, the TIE Echelon, I believe. Kylo Ren's.
The transport one, isn't it?
And then the Cantina, and then you see the Millennium Falcon. It's like I've done it several times with folks. I did it with Pete the Retailer from the Star Wars Minute.
Great.
I guided them through, went around, actually got into the Cantina without seeing the Falcon, had some drinks, came out, and he was like grabbing the stroller for the kids, and his wife, Ella, tapped him on the shoulder, and he's like, "What?" And he looked up, and he's like, "Oh my God." And you could see it just hit him like a force push, just like he just was like, "Oh my God." Same thing happened with my brother-in-law. We got it just the way where we set our reservation for the Cantina, and then we'll go to Galaxy's Edge when it's our time. Go and get in the Cantina. He came out and he looked up. He's like, "Oh my God." Like, it's the most magical place if you let it be. I know a lot of people might complain about it.
Sure. And I feel like that's Disneyland just in general though, isn't it? Like, if you allow yourself to be sort of sucked into it all, it's going to be great. If you go in with a cynical mind and you're in a cynical mindset for going in, you're going to just see the price tags on everything. You're going to see all of that. But
that's like our show.
Exactly. Let yourself love the stuff that you love.
Right. It's kind of magical. It really is. I mean, I can't, every time I see the Falcon, I'm just like, everyone just leave me alone for a second. I need
I need a minute. This is me.
I mean, this is a toy I had when I was a kid. My friend Jay got me it to reclaim my childhood recently. Okay. And
Lego one just down here.
Being like this little tiny Han Solo inside here, but standing here and looking up at the Falcon, like, it's not there's nothing that'll prepare you for it. Nothing.
Can't wait.
Because you can see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tourist pictures of people standing in front of the Falcon, and you're like, you get it, you understand what that experience is. No, you sort
of mentally prepare yourself, but you can't.
You can kind of like, oh my God. And they set up the Falcon. You don't really see this, but the line for the Smuggler's Run runs along the back.
Yeah.
The back of the Falcon. Yeah. What happens is, as soon as you go inside the line, it goes upstairs, does a switchback, and now there's windows, and you're now looking down on the Falcon through a balcony.
Oh, wow.
And so it's like, you're like, I get to see every angle of this thing. And my brother-in-law just sat there and stared at it when we're in line. And then you go and you get inside the damn thing.
It's the same way that, like, I remember Kevin Smith in like 2014 was talking about getting to see the Falcon, and he just sort of almost collapsed and wept.
Right.
And JJ was the same, John Boyega, Daisy Ridley, everyone, when they built, basically, for the first time, they built a full-scale Falcon for The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Because up until then, they'd only ever done partials.
Yeah, like half.
Yeah. So those guys all described seeing the Falcon for the first time. But I feel like when it's going to be scrutinized by thousands of people every day, the level of detail that they have to get into this thing is going to be almost
steam
better.
Comes out the bottom. The steam's coming out the bottom
at the right spots. I'm assuming, like,
you can use your phone and unlock things in your phone and make it happen.
Oh,
you can
wow.
make it happen. So it's not just happening all the time. Dude, the shot in Solo when Han sees the Falcon for the first time, it's that pan up of the cockpit.
Yeah, and the music swells.
You could stand there and do the same thing.
I think I would.
It's so hard. It's so hard to describe how great it is.
Yeah. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
It brings an emotional response every single time I go. We need to get you over here.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, as soon as possible. Yeah. Financially and safe. Let's make the world safe, and then we'll do that.
Speaking of Galaxy's Edge and attractions and videos, posts and stuff, I think after this episode airs, the Tuesday after this episode airs, I'll post the building the lightsaber, Stevie building the lightsaber.
Great. Yes. Perfect timing.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have me in the corner and then play the video on the other side. And I figured that out. And I'll just go through the whole thing and I'll kind of talk over it if it gets a little slow and stuff.
Yeah. Give us your commentary.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it.
Yeah. Very excited. Very excited. I mean, if you want to join in on it, if you have questions while it goes on,
maybe we'll do that. Maybe we can do that, and we'll watch the video, and then we'll do almost like a live commentary, so I can pick apart anything.
I think it's 18 minutes of video I shot. So
let's do that. I'm in.
Okay, cool.
Anything else about Galaxy's Edge? I think the documentary does a really good job of. They talked about was it Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run is the official title of the ride.
It's a good ride.
And it's a great name. Smuggler's Run was the name of a Han Solo novel back in the day, by A.C. Crispin, rest in peace. Great book, great name. If they were going to have names for any of the like the Star Wars stories instead of just Solo, I always thought Smuggler's Run was a great idea for a name. Yeah. But they already had it trademarked. They had the book. They had the ride almost certainly already coming at that point, so it's fine.
Yeah. Stepping into that cockpit.
It's a great ride. Like so they talk about all the technology behind it and how it's on a carousel so that you can have multiple rides basically always going. And I love, and I didn't even think about it. I assumed it probably would make sense, but I didn't even think about how when you're on the Falcon, it's yours, isn't it? Like your crew that you're on there. You're the only people on there. So that when you go through...
I'm going in November
17th,
Life Day. I'm going to be there. And me, my wife, my sister, my brother-in-law, and their 2 kids.
Great.
6 of us are going.
Perfect.
We have 1 crew, and I can't even wait.
So at this point, have you done every position?
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I tried so hard when we went with Pete. I tried so hard to get him in the pilot seat.
Of course.
He just wouldn't do it, but he was afraid he was going to mess it up. I get it because sitting in Han Solo's seat kind of
there's a responsibility to that.
It is, and it's a little daunting.
Chewie won't do it. Chewie won't sit there.
Especially when you're in a group of 6 people, and you're like, I'm the one that's going to do that. Like you're like, whoa. Who do you think you are? You're just going to take that spot. Like it's really co-pilot seat's a little bit easier to be like, I can be you. What I think the courteous thing to do is say, you be the pilot, so you're not like someone else isn't like just I'm going to be it, but I can be your co-pilot. Like I think that works. There's not really that much pressure. It is just a ride, but there is a huge. When I sat in the co-pilot seat, I mean, I love Chewbacca.
Yeah,
and I felt weird. It felt like I didn't belong there. I didn't ask permission.
It's not yours. It's not your seat.
Speaking of Chewbacca, have you heard about Chewbacca Mode?
Is that the cheat code that you can essentially put in?
Yeah, apparently, if your team is like ready to go, and knows their parts, as soon as you get in and sit down,
you hit. Basically, there's a button combo, isn't there, or something?
But that has to be done by all 6 people.
Yeah.
Like they all have to hit a certain button at the exact same time, like 3, 2, 1, go.
So
and then
there's a cheat
while that's
code
happening
in a ride.
Yeah, while that's happening,
cool.
someone has to pull a lever or press a certain button. And there's a ton of buttons in this thing.
Yeah.
But it's online. Hunt it down.
So cool.
So in that ride, when you do that, every sound that comes out is a Wookiee roar. A different Wookiee roar.
Is that the only difference?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But still
so
fun,
instead of hearing Hondo on the thing, it's just Wookiee roars or something. It's really weird, but they figured it out.
Does Hondo like just talk you through what you've got to do then? Otherwise.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
So you have to know what you've got to do at each point.
He's on the monitor telling you what to do.
Yeah.
But a big green flash on the button you need to hit, when to hit it. It's essentially like you're like a monkey in a cage, like lab. Yeah. Press the button when it turns green, but you're watching the screen, so you got to use your peripheral vision to like do the stuff. Then the flying part, the pilot Han moves left and right, moves the ride vehicle left and right, and the Chewbacca does the altitude.
Okay, cool. That's cool.
So you have to talk to them.
Yeah.
Where you say, "Hey, we need to go down. I'm heading down left," and so go. And then, of course, you say punch it when it's time for light speed, and the four levers blink green.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more satisfying than pulling those levers.
That's so cool. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah.
There is. I don't think it's in that book, but there is a short story or something as like behind the lore of why Chewie basically lent the Falcon to Hondo. And what a great character! Yeah. What a great idea for like give it to Hondo to do that, because you can make an animatronic. Kids are going to know him if they've watched Clone Wars or Rebels, because he's prevalent in both. And he's a fun character. I am all for Hondo Ohnaka.
Right, and it's great because it feels like Chewbacca is trying to help the Resistance set up this base.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, it's just sitting there if you want to use it.
Yeah. You need to do this. I'm doing this. I'm over here doing whatever because of where they've got the timeline set. Yeah,
and I believe you're getting some sort of fuel.
Okay, is that the mission?
Fuel containers. Yeah, you're trying to get fuel containers.
Makes sense. Yeah. I think the needing of fuel might be something that's in the Black Spire thing. How they talk about how the Resistance is desperate for more fuel. Yeah. It's one of the resources that they are short on or something. That's very, very cool. And I think they do a good job, and everyone so far has done a good job. So I'll ask you probably to do the same of not spoiling too much from Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah.
I've seen all the promo clips that they've put out online, exactly, and everything.
You haven't seen everything.
No, and I don't want to.
Clips don't show you everything, but
and how much of an innovative ride that is. You're the biggest expert that I know personally, and I know people that go all the time to these sorts of things. They know Disneyland inside and out, and everyone who talks about this sort of thing professionally, even if they're not a Star Wars fan, they just talk about how innovative this ride is. And
you have no idea.
I cannot wait to experience it. And I think that's going to be the only way to do it. I don't want to watch a video. I want to be there.
When you watch or when you ride Star Tours, you know you're watching a movie. You know it's a screen.
Of course.
Rise of the Resistance puts you inside Star Wars. It puts you inside it. You've seen probably maybe a stormtrooper or two.
Yeah, I've seen the bit where you go through the hangar and there's like a squadron and stuff.
There's really stormtroopers there.
Yeah.
You know, there's really things there. This might not really a spoiler, but when you're in line,
yeah,
there are crates of thermal detonators that you can touch. They're just there. They're lockers with flight suits in them. So it's like
it sounds like they've taken everything that was good about I talked about it a few weeks ago. The Secret Cinema experience, but they've also added a ride into that as well.
Yeah.
But so it's that's so cool.
You're there.
Yeah.
The stuff in the line, like I said, not really a spoiler, but it's terribly exciting. Is at one point in the line as you're going through, they have the clear light boards, where like the Yavin based light boards.
Yeah.
You could just touch it. It's it's in front of you, and you're like,
be Corin Farr, whatever her name was.
Yeah, Torrin Farr. You can be
Torrin Farr. Yeah.
It is just literally it makes everything so tactile and real, like armory. There's like guns on racks and stuff in locked in cages, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm walking through a rebel base, and I feel like I'm on Yavin. But for kids who aren't fans of the old movies that are 45 years old, they can say, oh, I feel like I'm on the Force Awakens planet with all the vines and stuff. Like, it feels like it caters to everybody's Star Wars.
Yeah.
Just the characters happen to be sequel trilogy, but
I can't wait
to see this guy in real life.
I'll get there. I will get there.
Yeah.
Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Because again, like in the same way that George wanted to update Star Tours all the way through, and it took 25 years to get there, but now it feels like it's whenever they need to, they can.
Yeah.
It being digital obviously makes it a lot easier for them. I feel like this is something that eventually Batuu and like the themes and stuff like that will probably get updated. Because at the moment it's between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. It's that loose sort of time frame, but I feel like eventually, I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, especially not now. Essentially, I think whatever time frame they had, they've now added 2 years to it, I'm going to say. Just so that more turnover has happened. More people have had a chance to experience it as it was. Eventually, I think there'll be some updates to that sort of thing. Do you think that it's a land that's got more room for more expansion? Or do you think that this is what they've
somewhat
got?
Not too much, but somewhat, I'm sure.
Okay.
I'm sure.
That's good to know.
Yeah. When you go, come to California.
Of course. I mean,
let us go with you.
Yeah.
Stevie absolutely loves it. I love it. We'll get a crew together of 6 to spend the day. We'll get you a boarding pass for Rise of the Resistance.
I'm not going to do anything by half. I want to do it all. I want to build a lightsaber. I'll build a droid. Screw it. Like, I'll do all of it.
Yeah. We'll get you. But I'm thinking coming through Clear Country and then start with Rise.
Love that you've already got it planned out.
It's exciting. I love it.
I can't wait.
I love it so much. I want to be there now. But,
me too.
But I can't. All right. You want to talk about next episode?
Well, it's your choice. Next episode is your choice. So
it was my choice partially.
Okay.
So what happened is I took like 5 things that I will like. These are like 5 things I really want to do. And I don't know which one I really want to do next. And so I left it up to my Patreon supporters. I did a poll with 5 things.
Where can they find your Patreon?
At patreon.com/casinoskunk.
Everyone go subscribe.
And it's $1. You get all of every episode a week early. That's been going great. I've been able to stay on top of that.
We've been able to record them early enough in advance.
Yeah. But what they picked for next week's episode 9, is kind of what I wanted to pick anyway.
Ooh.
And here it comes. We're doing it.
Hey, we're getting there.
The making of Star Wars with R2-D2 and C-3PO from the 1970. It doesn't have the year on it. I want to say 77. I think it was still, 1977.
Amazing.
So this is probably the first post Star Wars thing.
It would have been. Definitely it would have been.
So much fun. We'll get to see all that footage all over again.
Cannot wait.
It's are you familiar with this one?
I've seen it, not for a long time. I know a long time. Yeah.
The my favorite thing, and we'll get into this, is the starring C-3PO and R2-D2 part.
Yes.
Where it's them doing, leading us in and out of footage. Looks like a Doctor Who set.
Oh.
And it's so it's like, oh, why are they here?
Yeah. But I mean, do you think timeline wise they were in London in 76? So
and Bosk's outfit and Boshek's outfit was in Doctor Who.
Was it really?
Yeah, there's the Bosk outfit, and I think the Boshek were flight suits. If you look it up, or just take a look down below, you'll see the character in Doctor Who who's wearing that prior to Star Wars being released.
Who knew? So, I probably am doing my country a disservice. I cannot stand Doctor Who.
Wow, that's so great.
But yeah, it's something that I've just never liked.
You're gonna get kicked out of the country like Piers Morgan or something, and get stuck here for not liking Doctor Who.
Hey, it'll be cheaper to get to Galaxy's Edge.
Be a transpat like Corden.
Yeah.
Why do we get stuck with these guys?
Yeah, I'm sorry. We had them first. We had to deal with them for decades first. This is just your turn.
So look forward to that next week. Visit Live Action SW for our website.
Not next week. Not next week.
Oh yeah, not next week.
Next week you're gonna get lightsabers.
Next week you're getting lightsabers for sure. We're gonna make that happen.
Yeah,
I don't know when. We'll set up a time, but
we can do it.
Cool. And then tell your friends, subscribe, share the word. liveactionstarwars.com.
Yep.
And I know it doesn't sound like a YouTube page, but it is.
It is. And Live Action SW on all the socials: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, that's it.
And YouTube.
That's all and YouTube.
And YouTube.
Find it. And tell everyone.
Tell everybody, please. We need to go on Rise of the Resistance together.
Yes.
All right. So looking forward to the Making of Star Wars starring C-3PO and R2-D2. That'll be in 2 weeks.
It's on YouTube. Everyone can find it on YouTube, right? Is that where you can watch along? Yeah. So you can find it. You can watch along with us and join in the conversation. Send us comments and questions and all that stuff.
All right. May the Force be with you.
Blast off to Endor.
I've word that the Chance's ambassadors are with you now.
Just watching it in one.
To reach a settlement.
Amazing.